this video, I'm going to create some rise sounds using Native Instruments' Monark synthesizer. This is a 3-oscillator monosynth that's very much based on a classic Moog kind of monosynth. And what I'll do is going to bring this in via Reactor. So I'm going to come down to Native Instruments here, down to Reactor 5 as a stereo instrument. And Monark is available as part complete, or it is actually available separately, but it appears in the player here, and you can see Monarch. So I'm just going to drag this in, and then you can see the design. Basically, what we have, as I said, is a 3-oscillator synthesizer. We can blend the oscillators using this mixer, and then we have a multi-mode filter over here. It's a low-pass filter. There's a bandpass at the end here, and then a filter envelope and an amp envelope. And although it's a very fixed and simple design, it's actually capable of quite a lot. It's a very flexible little synth, this. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a basic pitch bend in to start our rise. So I'm going to create an empty MIDI region, which I'm going to drag out to 8 bars, and then go into the piano roll. And using the MIDI draw window, select pitch bend as the controller from the drop-down list. And then I can click and create a couple of little sort of automation nodes within this, and then just drag that up. So there's going to be my overall pitch bend. Now let's go into the synth itself, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use oscillator 2 here. So as well as the pitch bend sweeping up, I'm also going to use oscillator 2, and I'm going to pitch that as well. So at the moment, what we have is a very basic sweep. So what I need to do as well is come over here, bring up the properties boxes here, and then click on the camera, which is essentially the snapshots, something we'll be looking at in later weeks. But this is the, if you like, the reactor patches. And I'm going to come down to this one called user bank and initialize this to a blank patch. So let's use oscillator 2. I'm going to switch this in, and we're going to bring this in like so. Actually, need to get the MIDI note in. That would help. So let me just bring in the MIDI note like that. And then I'm going to lengthen this out. Let's get this out of the way a minute. So bring this up to 8 bars. There we go. And then I'm just going to bring the velocity up. Okay. Let's just bring this down a minute. So there's a kind of a basic rise using the pitch bend. Now, as I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this rise, make it a bit more dramatic by pitching up the oscillator. So I'm going to use automation for this to bring this into touch and just grab it like that. So I'm going to sort of write in a little bit of the automation there, and then essentially just bring it in post, if you like. Just let's get rid of a couple of these nodes, double click like that, and bring that up as well. So this is now going to give me a rise. Always remember to put back into read, otherwise you can overwrite what you've done. So makes it a bit more dramatic. Okay, so being a monosynth, we can only play one note at a time. Because we've got 3 oscillators here, it does give us some degree of flexibility within the rise. Now, I'm just going to turn this oscillator up to 16 feet. I'm going to put it on the same pitch as oscillator 2. And we'll call it, we'll go for a sawtooth as well. Let me bring it in on the mixer. But this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this oscillator 3 to pitch in the opposite direction to add some a real variety to this. So put it back into touch. Let's reset. And there's the 2 together. And there we go. Let me bring that in. And then I can use automation to build this up. Let me drag this all the way over here like so. So now what we have is we have them in 2 different directions at the same time. Adds a bit more kind of a bit more depth to this. Like so. Okay, so this is coming well. Now you could, if you wanted to create some variety with this, create a series of them, bounce them to audio at each stage, create audio file versions. But what I'm going to do though on this final one is I'm going to add a filter to it, which we have here, which you can, like so. But what I'm also going to do is add an LFO to get a bit of variety, as this cutoff essentially is going to go from here all the way up. In Monark, each oscillator can act as an LFO if you switch the range to low. So I'm going to do this to oscillator 1 now. And then I'm going to switch on the oscillator pitch modulation. This turns this into a low frequency oscillator. And if I want it to affect the cutoff, then I come across here and we switch on the mod like so. And this means that this LFO here is then going to be controlling the cutoff frequency. Now, I need to bring the modulation amount up. So I'm going to just turn it up on this one here, like so. And then what we do, and actually what I think I'll do with that as well is I'm going to bring this up using automation. So tell you what, let's do it like this. Let's bring this down. And you can see how it's possible to kind of create these things by layering up all of the different modulation amounts. So that's all switched in and ready to go. So I'm going to bring this in from the start again, and we'll bring up the modulation amount, and then we're going to have a play with the cutoff as well. So here we go. Like that. Now, currently the filter is actually closed, so that's why we're not really hearing anything. It's its lowest setting there. But let me just bring this in like that. Okay, and then we can do it again. Start to bring the cutoff. There it is. Now, the cutoff starting right down the bottom is too low. We're not getting any sound out. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. And then I'm going to drag this. Let's get this last note there. Here we go. Just let me get rid of him then. There we go, like that. And get this all the way up. Okay, so this now means that we have the filter opening, and as it opens up, the LFO is going to come in. So let's have a listen. Okay, that's quite a nice effect there. So I'm going to bring this. Let's bring this up a bit. Maybe not that one. Let's go back to the. There we go. Let's put this to read. So I like what that's doing at the end there. So let's go back to the modulation mod wheel here, and let's bring this up a bit, so this comes in a bit more quickly. Cool. So once we've done that, what we can then do is turn this into an audio file. So there's several ways, but I'm just going to go here and go bounce in place. We'll call this Monark Rise number 1. And I can leave everything as is and then just bounce this in. And there you go. You can see the Rise sound bounce to audio. Now, there's so much more you can do with this. You can add panning to create a kind of a movement from left to right in the stereo field. You can add effects. There's so much more. Definitely room for experimentation, and see if you can come up with several different varieties of this.